Alright, people, midweek report time. So, a lot of stuff has happened over the last couple of days. We've seen obviously the Inoue fight. We're obviously waiting patiently for Spence Crawford. It's a couple of days away now, lads. And also, we've seen bizarrely, because now, unless this was advertised prior, I do not know, but Eddie Hearn went on Piers Morgan Uncensored, and I don't know if I should start with that or if I should start with Inoue, because obviously he is the man we're all talking about. But Eddie Hearn going on Piers Morgan Uncensored, I mean, people will know my stance on Piers Morgan. I think he's a deplorable human being, I really do. I don't understand why Eddie Hearn would have wanted to go on that show. Maybe, I don't know, maybe just for a PR point of view, because yes, Morgan is a deplorable human being, but people do still tune in. So maybe Eddie Hearn felt, you know what, get eyes on, him. Not that he's, megalomaniac or anything like that, but maybe just to get eyes on him in a sense of, get the name of the fighters out there, the Joshuas, to, he was on about Conor Benn. It's very interesting, he spoke about Conor Benn, and he was saying that he believes Conor Benn will be found innocent. Now, obviously, we're still waiting on an official statement from UCAD with regards to their ruling. I've heard varying reports over the last couple of weeks from people, about a fortnight ago before. Actually, it would really coincide with the Eubank Smith fight being announced. There was a lot of people telling me that, he's actually going to be found innocent. And I was like, okay, well, look, if he's found innocent, he's found innocent. We just move on, or we try to anyway. But then, no sooner was that fight announced, that I had other people messaging me saying, oh, he's been found guilty. And it's like, to be honest with you, until I hear it officially from UCAD, I'm going to reserve judgment on it. You can say from the outside looking in that it doesn't look amazing, given the fact that you had the Eubank Ben fight being talked about. Frank Smith was mentioning it, and then for that fight to be pretty much on the cusp to doing a complete 180, and then it's Eubank Smith again. And with the WBC rankings, I don't really look at that as smoke and gun, and I'll tell you exactly why. Is that Sullivan has come under so much fire for a lot of the decisions he's made over the last couple of weeks. In particular, the Charlo decision, the fact that they haven't stripped him after he's not had a fight for 2 flipping years. I mean, that is just, again, I can't emphasize enough how shocking that is. It's absolutely disgraceful. And I guess with Sullivan, he's obviously felt the heel on his neck about that, and he's obviously looked on top, because Sullivan could take whoever out of the rankings for inactivity. He could take, I'm just hypothetically saying here, you could take a Kabayel. I know he's had a fight, but just use him as an example, because he's not fought amazing opponents and he's been a bit inactive. He could easily do that, but who's really going to notice that? Whereas if you take Conor Benn out, oh well, we're taking him out for inactivity because we're upstanding. Yes, we obviously think high enough of him to rank him wherever. We've cleared him by their tests, by their whatever way they did it, of any wrongdoings, although it doesn't really affect his career regardless whether they banned him or not. But we've removed him because he's inactive, and yes, we can do it when we want to. Well, yes, you're correct to do it, because yes, he has been inactive, but you should be doing that a lot more than just a once off. You should be doing it for your champions as well, because it's absolutely shocking the fact that Charlo, 2 years, and then the worst thing is, it's not like you could even it's like you could play devil's advocate and say, okay, look, yeah, Charlo hasn't had a fight in 2 years, fair enough, but he's got a fight penciled in for October. No, he's got no fight penciled in. He's literally nothing. There's nothing there, so he's not even got a fight on the horizon that you could turn around and say, okay, yeah, he's not fighting at the minute, but he's got a fight. No, he doesn't even have that. But of course, it's the WBC, they're just like, no. You see, in our rules, it says if you don't do it within a year, but we kind of have carte blanche to change them if we want. Absolute joke. But Eddie Hearn's been on that. He was talking about, several things. I'm going to read out what he was saying here verbatim on the whole Tyson Fury situation. Tyson Fury turned down the Alexander Usyk fight, the most important fight in boxing, to fight an MMA guy who's never been able to fight, who's never had a fight before in Saudi Arabia. You got to be honest, Tyson Fury cares about the money. Cares about one and only thing, I should say, and that's the money. He said he's beaten Vladimir Klitschko and Deontay Wilder. That's his wins. He needs to beat Alexander Usyk and Anthony Joshua. Then we can talk about him, as I believe, as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. It's interesting, Hearn is giving Tyson Fury his props there, if you know what I mean. Like, yes, he's criticising him But he's also given him praise there because obviously Hearn does believe that Tyson Fury is a great heavyweight, as we all do. You know, it's never really been about, is Tyson Fury a good fighter? We know he's a good fighter. We know he's a tremendous talent. And, you know, the wins against Deontay Wilder and Vladimir Klitschko were very, very good wins. But they don't define his career in a nutshell. You know, they don't instantly give him carte blanche to bypass the people like the Muhammad Ali's, the Larry Holmes, the Mike Tysons, Lewis's, etc. of the world, who've done a lot more in their career, who've had many, many world title fights, who fought a who's who of contenders and champions in their time. That those two wins, well, technically it should be 3 wins for Deontay Wilder, but you get me. Those 2 names don't give Fury carte blanche to say, well, I'm the greatest of this era and the greatest of all time. He's not fought he's not fought Alexander Usyk, he's not fought Anthony Joshua, he's not fought Frank Sanchez, Hrgovic, Zhang, Joyce, etc. He's not fought the guys here who are trying their best to get these title fights or are trying to, in Usyk's case, go for undisputed. So Eddie Hearn is spot on there when he's saying that. And with regards to Ngannou, everyone was calling out Ngannou, to be fair, and I know he was kind of briefly mentioning that last year with Anthony Joshua, but obviously thank God it didn't happen. Because Joshua would have got it as well if he'd have fought Francis Ngannou. He would have. I wouldn't have probably given it to him as hard in terms of the criticism because he's not a champion, but I still would have critiqued him for it, 100%. But you could say, well, look, it's not holding the division up, where in Fury's case it is. That's exactly what it's doing, because Joshua is not a champion. So I'm not going to hold him to the higher standards of a champion. And again, if Usyk had fought Ngannou, same thing. I would have gone in on Alexander Usyk. Because he's a champion, for God's sake. You should be trying to... If you want to go down that road of doing that, but you want to vacate your title and say, I'm not going to fight anymore, that's fine. You go and do that. But don't have the audacity to hold on to that belt and still claim you're the best, all the while avoiding all the big fights. Nah, man. BS right there. He's also talked, Eddie Hearn, about what Joshua's future is like. And he's mentioned that this Dillian Whyte fight, career is on the line. And you could argue it's on the line for both guys. I mean, if Dillian Whyte wins... Well, I was going to say his career was reignited, or is reignited, and I was thinking, but then I suppose it really would reignite it. It would certainly open up to some big fights. With regards to Deontay Wilder, because that's the fight he said for Joshua next, he's saying that's more than likely going to happen in January, lads. So the Christmas blockbuster, looking likely we're going to get that in January, unfortunately. That's only a month extra. And he also said he wants to do in 2024 Tyson Fury. Now, I sincerely hope that doesn't happen, because that would mean that we're not getting Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk, which is the fight that we desperately want. We obviously want to get that in 2024. Let's hope we can actually get that over the line. In terms of some other news, so obviously on Tuesday, and I can talk about it a little bit more here, we obviously had Naoya Inoue beating up Stephen Fulton. Let's just not beat around the bush. That's exactly what he did. Robeisy Ramirez was on the undercard, and he fought a guy who was about 5'10", 5'11". There was a big height difference. Robeisy Ramirez absolutely beat the living crap out of the guy. But we'll talk more about Inoue versus Fulton. Going into that fight, I expected, as I said in my post-fight, I expected Inoue to win, but I thought he'd probably win on points. I thought Fulton would have enough in him to get through to the end. Boy, was I wrong. Inoue really is an exceptional talent, and he is someone that we need to enjoy, and it's good in a way that he's not so old. He's not coming into... He's probably in his prime now, truth be told. Maybe not quite at athletic prime, but he's only 30, I suppose, at the end of the day, so he's probably still got another year or two of athleticism before you start seeing it regress. He really is an exceptional talent, a generational talent, as some would say. And the fact is that he's gone up now to super bantamweight. He's come from light fly all the way up through the divisions, and he's not taken any easy steps along the way. Like, he really hasn't. He hasn't taken any easy steps along the way at all, and he has been just steamrolling through these divisions. And I suspect that 122 pounds, he'll clean that, or he'll at least be undisputed in that. He'll probably do well at featherweight as well. You're really looking at 130, 135 before you start seeing Naoya Inoue really start to struggle, and that's incredible when you think about it. He's an exceptional talent. And speaking of 130 pounds, Showtime Stephen Espinoza has said some fans want to see Gervonta Davis versus Naoya Inoue, and he said, you never know, it sounds a bit crazy, but it's only 13 more pounds. I'd love to see Tank versus Inoue after that performance. Wouldn't put anything out of his reach. correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I'm nearly sure that we've heard about Tank versus Inoue in the past, or at least teased it, or that been thrown out there. But Tank Davis is obviously a 135 pounder. Inoue has only just moved up to bantamweight, or sorry, super bantamweight. So I mean, don't know about that, but that would be a very interesting fight if it did happen. Look, I'm not going to say it's going to happen or anything like that. I mean, by the time Inoue does go through the weights, you could be talking another 2 or 3 years. By then, Tank Davis will definitely be at 140 at least. So that fight there is probably just some wishful thinking from Espinosa, just trying to get the name out there. But could you imagine if they did announce, like, let's just say Naoya Inoue just decided, the hell with it, I'm going to go up to lightweight. I can't even rack my brain around that. It just sounds so absurd, but I mean, Naoya Inoue, man, he doesn't play. You know, this guy is all about, as I said, he's all about legacy. And that's what I like about Naoya Inoue. He really is all about legacy. That's all he seems to really care about. He just wants to carve out that name, and credit to him. And I enjoy watching him. You know, he's one of these fighters who, his skill is there, his boxing IQ, his brain is there, his speed, everything, and then he's got the power on top of that. He's a finisher. He's not someone who's gonna, you know, he knows he's better, he knows he can outbox you, and he'll just decide to go with this. Now he's trying to hurt you and take you out. Absolutely love Naoya Inoue. Another fighter who I enjoy watching as well is Dimitri Bivol, and he's been given his say on the Crawford Spence situation. Well, obviously the fight is happening this weekend. I'll talk about this more in a week, but I'll read what Dimitri Bivol says. He said, I would say Crawford is the favourite because of his speed, movement and reflexes. Spence is the bigger guy in the ring and also has great ring IQ, but in my opinion, Crawford is the most complete fighter of all right now. Big praise there from Dimitri Bivol, because he really does know his stuff. Crawford Spence is this weekend, lads. I've given my prediction video. I recorded it last night. It went out today. I'm going with Terence Crawford to win this fight on points. Terence Crawford to win this fight on points. I'm mega looking forward to this. I'm mega looking forward to the undercard underneath the Daenerys on there. I think it's going to be fantastic. Yes, I have the thumbnail ready. Watch along. We will be doing a live watch along. That's going to happen 100%. This fight deserves that. So we'll be doing it in the wee hours, obviously. I'm not 100% sure what time to start it at, though. So I would anticipate that we would have ring walks, because you can never really know for sure what way the undercard is going to go and stuff like that. So I would anticipate ring walks to be about, I want to say between 4:30 and I want to say between 4 and 5. You know, ring walks tend to, for these fights, to take a little bit of time. Hopefully not too long. But I'm suspecting that we're going to have it's going to be a late one, put it like that. But we're definitely doing a watch along. We're staying up for it. We'll start probably in the co-main and then go into the main, because I'm not going to go to bed. I'm just going to stay up for this the whole way through. I am so excited for this fight, lads. I really cannot emphasize enough how happy I am. With the weigh-in tomorrow, obviously it's going to be interesting to see how both guys look on the scales. Spence, actually, I'll get a quote here from Errol Spence now in a sec, because he's actually declared that he will move up, or he intends to move up to 154 pounds in his next fight after Terence Crawford. Rematch clause allows for whoever loses to force a second fight, but it's reported that the winner is the one who gets the choice of the weight. So obviously you would imagine Errol Spence is very confident in winning, so he's obviously figuring that he will win. I would wonder if Terence Crawford wins and he does decide, or Errol Spence decides to enforce a rematch, I wonder would he decide to do it at 147 pounds again, or would he just say, yeah, look, I'll move up to 154. Who knows? Maybe that'll be his first fight at 154 and looking to win titles there. I don't know. Either way, I am very, very excited about this fight. I think it's a fantastic fight, as I'm sure many of you will all know. I've waited long for this fight, lads. I really have. We've all waited. All the boxing fans have waited. We've talked about Crawford. Well, Crawford was talked about moving up to 147 even before he fought Victor Postal. There was a lot of talk about that. Very good friends with Tim Bradley at the time. Well, still is good friends with Tim Bradley, and obviously he was there at a couple of Manny Pacquiao. Well, he was there at the third Manny Pacquiao fight. There was talk of him moving up to 147. He hadn't cleaned out 140 at the time. He then went ahead and did it. And instantly we're talking about Spence Crawford. Spence has even before the car crash, do you remember a time when PBC announced they were no longer recognising the WBO title as a legit sanctioned title. Do you remember that? Because that actually did happen. Go and Google that. That did happen very, very briefly in 2019, despite the fact they had a couple of their fighters with WBO titles and a couple of their fighters were ranked by the WBO. So, yeah, at that those were dark times for this Spence fight. And then obviously the car crash, and you kind of thought, all right, this fight's never going to happen. Spence has come back from that. Crawford has broken free of Top Rank. And now we have it. It's just like it's all aligned, and we're still getting this fight when both guys are in their prime, or at least close to it. Neither guy is over the hill, from what I've seen. Neither guy is on a serious decline, so we're really in a great position for this fight. Lads, I can't wait. I've said it, will say it again. I can't emphasize enough. I am so excited about this fight. Yes, I will be buying it 100%. I don't care if it's pay-per-view. I know it's an unreasonable time here in the UK and Ireland, but I don't care. It's going to be great. I can't emphasize enough how much I'm looking forward to this fight, lads. And before I move on to the next subject, it's a fight that I believe has the recipe for a good fight. I don't envision doing a review immediately after this fight and saying, well, we got whoever won, but I'd never really caught fight. I don't think I'll be saying that. I think I'll be saying this delivered. All I hope is that we see fair judging and fair officiating both ways. I would hate to get to the end and let's say Errol Spence is the winner, and deservedly. Let's say it's a razor close nip and tuck fight and you hear a 117-111 to Errol Spence. What? I hope to God we don't hear that. I hope to God that whatever way this fight goes, whoever wins deserves it, and we see fair judging, fair officiating. If it's a legitimately close fight and it goes to Crawford by a round, or it goes to Spence by a round, or God forbid it's a draw, if it's legit and that's a close fight, then that's what it is. But I hope to God we don't see BS scorecards or favourable officiating from one guy to the other. I hope we see a fair fight and a great fight. I think we will. I've no doubt that we will. In terms of other news, the Zone pay-per-view, Jake Paul versus Nate Diaz, August the 5th is next week. If anyone in the UK wants to watch it, it's $14.99, £15. It's $60 US. I won't do a watch along, anyone wondering. No, I won't be doing a watch along for that. It's in the US anyway, I think, as well. I'll be doing a watch along for that, and I know I won't be buying it either. I might not even do a review of it, to be honest with you. But that's there if anyone wants to watch it. The Zone pay-per-view. Eddie Hearn, as I was saying, Eddie Hearn was talking about the Joshua fight and basically saying that it's likely going to be next year. Now, Liam Smith and Chris Eubank Jr. I heard rumours about this, and I was hoping they were just that, rumours, but unfortunately not. So an undercard fight has been announced, and Fraser Clark will be on the undercard. Okay, that's okay. Fraser Clark is what he is. He'll be facing Dave Allen in a heavyweight clash on the undercard. Good Lord above. Why? I just do not want to see Dave Allen in a professional fighting ring again. And I say that not because I have a vendetta against him or I hate Dave Allen or anything like that. It's actually the contrary. I don't know Dave Allen from Billy the Jack. I've never met him, never spoke to him. But from what I've seen over the years with him in the ring, I've seen someone who clearly seems to have depression. That seems clear, or at the very least is suffering from some form of issue outside the ring, because his mood and some of the stories I've heard about him are very erratic. He's obviously suffered with gambling issues in the past, and that's, someone told me once. Now, I very seldom gamble ever, so I've never had that issue, but I've never had an issue with anything really, never anything. So I might not be the best person to give advice on that or anything like that, but I remember someone once said to me that gambling is the worst of the vices you can have, because you could be addicted to alcohol. This is not me saying Dave Allen is still addicted to gambling or anything like that. I'm just saying he has been in the past. But someone told me once that you could be addicted to alcohol, and it's a terrible thing. It causes health issues. It causes so many issues. But your body knows when you've had enough. Sort of way, like you could be drinking God knows how many pints of beer. Your body will know you've had enough. I can't take any more. You've had enough. And you stop. With gambling, physically, it doesn't really affect you. It doesn't really affect you in any way other than your money. and there's always ways you can get more money. So there's never an end, if you know what I mean. Which is why they say that's probably the worst. Dave Allen in the ring has taken some horrendous beatings. He didn't really take a beating against Dillian Whyte. He didn't do anything against Dillian Whyte, but Dillian Whyte really boxed Dave Allen. He didn't really hurt him that bad. He took that beating against Ortiz where his tongue got cut. He had that absolute horrendous. This was the worst out of all the beatings Allen's taken. This was the worst against Tony Yoka back in 2018. Now that right there, that was the worst. Good Lord, that was a horrendous beating Dave Allen took in that fight. He really, and Tony Yoka fight, Dave Allen said after that fight, and he said it I think subsequently as well, that's the hardest he's ever been hit in the ring. Tony Yoka couldn't get Martin Bakoli's respect. He couldn't get Carlos Takam's respect. But Dave Allen, who was a very good chin, he said that's the hardest he's ever been hit. And that was right about the time where he was missing those drug tests. So make it out what you will. He obviously had that fight with Bracamonte, which he did win, but he took a lot of shots in that fight, made hard work of it. And then he got himself together to an extent. And then he had that fight against David Price, which again, some people say that was the most brutal. I would say it's second close to Tony Yoka, because that Tony Yoka fight was brutal, but the David Price fight certainly was as well. And he was hospitalised after that fight. And, at that point you say enough is enough. And I think Dave Allen kind of realised that, because he obviously went into training camp with Alexander Usyk in 2020 in the run to the Chisora fight. There was that footage of him getting pretty much knocked out on his feet by Alexander Usyk, who thankfully didn't instantly, once he saw he was hurt, he stopped the spar and said, no, we wait until you're okay. And that was his kind of point of saying, I'm done. So he walked away. He's obviously subsequently gone on to have a child. He's settled down with a partner now, which is very good. But for whatever reason, he's decided to come back to boxing. And I think that is a mistake. I don't think you need to. He is only 31 years old. He looks a lot older, but he is only 31 years old. And I think that there's a life outside of boxing. There really is. And there's no need to come back. There's definitely damage up there. There's definitely some boxing. Boxing has damaged Dave Allen, in my opinion. There's no need to make it worse, which I think this fight will do. Or even if he goes through this fight and somehow wins, I think that it's not going to stop there. Someone will look and say, all right, you can come and fight. Imagine him against Jared Anderson or someone like that. I wouldn't like to see that. So that's my thoughts on that. I don't think it's a good idea for Dave Allen to be fighting Fraser Clark. At the end of the day, it's not up to me. It's up to him. He's a grown adult man. He can make his own decisions, but I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. If I was in his team, and I've seen some of the people in his team egg him on to go and keep fighting, which again, I do wonder whether they have his best interests at heart. But if he was a mate of mine, or if I don't say training him, but let's say I was in his team advising him, I'd be saying, mate, look, do you really need it? Financially, is that the only reason why you're doing this? Because if you're financially sound, you should be okay. There's other avenues. But do you really need to do this? Because if you don't really need to do it, there's no need to do it. You've got a young family, take care of them, worry about them. Your health is your wealth. I hope to God he doesn't end up as being one of those stories. You see Dave Allen in 15 years and you literally need subtitles because he cannot string a sentence together. Like, look at Tommy Hearns. As much as I love Tommy Hearns, the man can barely string a sentence together. It's horrific how bad his speech is, but that's the darker sides of boxing. You have Meldrick Taylor, who was a tremendous fighter back in the day, and even in the early 2000s you could hear how bad his speech was, and he was still fighting back then, shockingly. So I hope to God that Dave Allen is okay, or will be okay, and that's really that. In terms of everything else, I think that's pretty much it. There's the main things that happened this week were Inoue, Hearn on obviously Piers Morgan, and that's really it. So for now, I will leave you with that. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. If you haven't already, smash the like button, hit subscribe. We're not too far away. We're about 60 subs off 12k. We've been growing a lot over the last couple of weeks, so 60 subs off 12k. Could we do it this weekend, lads? Could we actually conceivably do it this weekend? With a good weekend, I think we might. I'm hoping we do. I'm crossing everything we hit 12k this weekend. I'd love it. I'd love to hit 12k this weekend. And then it's only 3 more until we're at 15, and then 15 on to 20, so on and so forth, until we make this little thing, this little channel, lads, although it's not so little in the boxing sense anymore. This channel is going to bring us places someday. So bring us places, and let's hope it can do it soon, because it's already done a lot for us. It's already brought me to a lot of places, and hopefully it'll bring us more. Let's keep going, let's keep pushing. Hope we all have a great weekend, lads. I will try and get a stream in tomorrow, and of course if there's any news between now and then, I will obviously be the one covering it, as I do, as I am the man for the news and everything else. Anything boxing, I'm your guy. Tell your friends. I'll smash the like, or you will smash the like button if you could, please. Smash the like button, subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. For now, lads and lassies, I'll talk to you. Peace.